So, if you feel ready to confront, no longer evading or retreating, but acquiring something for your lobes, you've come to the right place. You are listening today to the preeminent, the leading, the best, I dare say, podcast regarding Deep Space Nine. Audio Oomox. I am one of your hosts. I'm Brian, and I am joined by
Alex.
Laughing Alex. So how are you, my friend?
I'm ready to...
Sorry, that could have been a little cleaner. I appreciate it.
It's okay, man. It's all right. We're just easing into it. I'm ready to confront. I'm ready to confront this episode and have a quick chat with you and see how things are going.
Very good.
I'll just start off by saying, hey, had a great time seeing you in your hometown.
I was, glad to see you. I had a great time as well.
Oh my gosh, yeah. The distilleries will never be the same.
Agreed.
Speaking of which, what's your trying tonight, buddy?
I just went back to Scotch on the Rocks, just keeping it simple. This is actually my first drink post departure because we did have maybe a little bit more than my liver is comfortable with, and so took a little break for a few days.
I took a break until yesterday, but I just viewed the drinking as part of a complete breakfast, and
there you go.
And anyway, so my Tranya is a simple vodka martini straight up. I was going to just say, I'd like to tell everybody, thanks again, everybody, for listening. Our numbers look really good. We appreciate the shares. We're loving the interaction on the Facebook page. Please keep that up. We're trying our best to keep it fun and light and move it along, and it seems to be working. We've got our top man on the case there, so it's some fun stuff. So we appreciate you interacting with us on the Book of Faces. There's plenty of stuff we could keep up with on announcements, things like that, but a lot of it's in the show notes, and we'll spare you that on this one. The other thing I just wanted to say before we get talking about playing God is, and I'll avoid some kind of God joke here, because a few weeks ago, DS9 lost a member of its family. Peter Allan Fields passed away, and the reason I would mention this guy especially, the name probably doesn't ring a bell to most people, but clearly he was an important part of the family. Ira, Stephen Bear, and Robert Hewitt Wolf, and others involved in the production of the show talked about him, but he died June 19th. What I wanted to just say real quickly is that he wrote most of my favorite episodes of DS9. He co-wrote or wrote a total of 13 episodes. Most notably, before we get to DS9, he wrote The Next Generation, he wrote Half a Life, Cost of Living, and what could be the most favorite, or at least top 3 or 4 TNG episodes, The Inner Light, where Picard and the Resican flute meet, as well as and DS9 installments. He did Dax, Duet, Blood Oath, which we're going to be covering very shortly, next few weeks, In the Pale Moonlight, which may very well be in my top 3, and The Dogs of War, among others. So in short, he had a hand in several of both shows' finest moments. He was also a DS9 co-producer and later producer from 1993 to 94, spanning seasons 1 and 2. He had a pretty fascinating life. I won't go into all of it here. I'll just put a link in the show notes. But this is a guy who, he was a lawyer and he didn't enjoy that. So he wrote short stories in his free time. And then he started writing for TV, like The Man from U.N.C.L.E., and he did episodes of the FBI, McCloud, The $6 Million Man, Dark Room, Knight Rider, Xena, Warrior Princess, and Michael Pillar's show, another show he did called Legend, which starred Q himself, Mr. John Delancey. So we just, as a show, wanted to express our admiration for his talent and thank him for his contribution and wish him well on his journey through whatever wormhole he is going through to the next plane of existence. So Peter Allan Fields, have a thought for Peter as we go forward. So Brian, I'll toss to you now. We've gotten the Tranya out of the way, and we are...
I think it will be. I always say this, and then we end up going deeper than or off on a tangent. But I think this should be a fairly succinct episode or podcast. So this episode has 2 primary. So again, similar to last week, I wanted to maybe cover it by the 2 primary storylines, and then we have a few little side notes to go into. So the first and probably the major storyline is a young Arjun, a Trill host initiate, comes to the station, and he's played by Jeffrey Blake. But to every time I looked at him, it reminded me of Chandler Bing from Friends. I mean, he just the resemblance is uncanny.
I guess so. Yeah,
but
I can see that.
To me, Jeffrey Blake was in. He was in the Gary Shandling show, and among a couple of other just minor appearances. But he comes on to me as a fairly milk toasty kind of character in search of one of the greatest honors on his planet. It becomes very clear that he seems to be fighting for something that his dad wants, but not necessarily what he wants. So throughout the episode, I would say there are a number of these interactions between Arjun and Dax. This with a secondary struggle of Dax with her previous hosts, Curzon and etc.
She's the docent for him, so she's kind of evaluating him. She's kind of one of the last hurdles he has to overcome, right? To get in the final,
to be on the final waiting list, right? And they said it's a kind of a 1 in 300 shot for Trill to be selected. Mm-hmm. They want to be very selective. Unfortunately, or fortunately, Jadzia had a very, very bad experience with Curzon during her time. And so at the beginning of this storyline, she wants to be, a kinder, gentler reviewer than Curzon. Then as it progresses, I think she realizes maybe the gravity of the situation, one, and two, some of the Curzon's approach was very abusive. The result was actually fairly positive in that it gave her a new strength to attack what she needed to attack. Mm-hmm. So again, we have multiple interactions showing, I think some of the symbiont effects on Jadzia Dax mm-hmm. throughout, with love of certain unique foods, like Klingon food, a love of these obscure music, a love of playing some doing some gambling, playing a little tango, right? Just these things that as a host she inherited and had to rediscover as Jadzia, and I think it added a little bit of color there. Anyway, I thought that storyline fairly interesting, but a little bit scattered, like it was trying to cover too many bases in a single storyline.
Seemed kind of tropey to me. The old, I've got to toughen you up kind of, tough love kind of deal. So, because you're going to be handed an incredible opportunity, so I got to make sure. Yeah,
that you're right.
Oh, yeah, I kind of seen this a lot in other TV
Sure.
shows.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm not going to fault the actor too much here, by the way. I mean, those two, both he and Terry Farrell had worked together in a previous show. Okay. I don't know if that's how he got the gig, but he's since then had a pretty good career, Tony nominated and some other stuff. So he's not a bad actor. I'm not going to fault the actor too much. I'm going to fault the writing a little bit. But he got interesting once he was going to go get drunk at Quark's. I thought, okay,
that was a nice scene.
Yeah, I mean, and he handled that pretty well, and he didn't play like stupid drunk. He played good drunk, a smart drunk. He was just drinking drunk. So right. I saw that, and I felt that their interactions were. I kind of felt like it was all just kind of jammed together. I didn't think getting all these little pieces about Jadzia was interesting, but also in a way jarring. It was like the writers were like, let's show you all the possible weird stuff about her that makes her more interesting than you might think,
Right. And throw in a towel scene.
Okay, the towel scene is fine.
I'll take that.
Yeah, but I did like seeing Ron Taylor, the Klingon chef, singing.
Yes, that's awesome.
Nice. I think that's the
Again,
last time we see him, actually.
sad,
Yeah.
sad. Yeah, and they sang together.
Yeah.
So again, just looping through, we get to the end, and basically Arjun resolves to discover himself, make sure that he's ready, and then she will recommend him at that time, and he can kind of re-enter the program. But he's got to go, explore himself, do a train tour of Europe and that kind of stuff. So he makes sure that he's ready.
Yeah, I mean, and he says, "I'm ready now," or "I figured it out," or whatever at the end, and I'm like, "Okay, if you say so." And but
Right.
then she says, she's kind of figured herself out a little more. I was, yeah, so
Sure.
I was kind of inwardly groaning on that one.
So here's the other. Here's one challenge that I had with that as well was that upon joining, wouldn't Dax Jadzia have gained the knowledge and memories of Curzon at the time that he was evaluating her?
I don't know. That's a good point.
I don't know how he would wipe that memory away.
I don't know. Well, I don't know if what you get is not the essence of who they were, but not. And remember, I mean, I don't think you get like a computer data bank download when they die. You get what they remembered at the time of their death. So there may be just more a feeling about her than an actual point by point memory of it. That's all I could think of.
You get the memory of the symbiont, but not the host.
Yeah, I think that
you get the full memory of the symbiont because the symbiont has its own brain. I'm assuming,
right?
The burrito.
Yeah. I think the burrito. I think the burrito retains the flavor of the chilies, but
yes,
maybe not every bite.
Right. It has the hot sauce.
There you go. And after seeing her in a towel, I think we got all the hot sauce.
And her, and I have not seen this at Quarks, but I would love to find out what's in a black hole because I'm sure it's something with a lot of fire to it.
Yeah, I would hope so. You know what? I got to dig this out.
I was expecting the glass to come out ripped.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
You can cut that out.
I don't know. We'll just see. Oh my god. See, you caught us on a rare night when Brian's got the sillies and I don't. I'm like all like, yeah, okay, that's pretty good. Yes, was it a rimmed? Was the black hole a rimmed? A rimmed
in a rimmed glass.
Yes. We'll just check on that. I was going to say before you were a lot funnier than what I was going to say. I actually have in my possession somewhere. Don't know yet. Got to find it since we moved, and I can't believe I can't find it because it should be up in my man cave. I have a
Quarks menu.
I have a Quarks bar menu, a genuine one that a guy got for me, a buddy of mine. We used to go there, and he bought one off the bartender for me and gave it to me. So I have it. I just don't know where it is at the moment. I mean, it's somewhere safe. Trust me, because it's laminated and it's nice. So it'd be great. And I think we might do an episode if I can find it and share some recipes.
That'd be awesome.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Maybe mix a few up.
You know what? You don't make me fun, buddy. Is if we just do that on our YouTube as well, like do actual showing the mixology of how you do it.
Yes.
So we'd have to get a very big fishbowl for the Warp Core breach, by the way, because that's a big fishbowl drink. I don't think you and I ever shared one together when we were there together, but we saw somebody drinking one for sure.
Yes. Yes, we did.
Yeah. Did you get a rim black hole when you were there?
Not that I recall.
You were gone for about 45 minutes, so I
neither confirm nor deny.
Okay.
Stop confronting. I'm retreating.
You're evading or retreating. So can I give a couple about that particular area? I made a few notes.
Yes.
About it. I said I wasn't sure. I wrote this. Not sure I buy Arjun. Wrote did not find him terribly interesting or likable.
Yes.
So there was those. This is just spare notes I'm throwing out here. I do love that at one point throughout there. I'll save that one for when we talk about Miles, what he's going through. But So Julian makes basically a cameo, a walk on at the very beginning. He's walking Arjun in at he probably talked the guy's ear off on the flight, like he does.
Yes.
What is with the cylindrical shoulder bag that looks so uncomfortable and when you look, if you watch it, folks, watch this episode. Poor Alexander Siddig is like grasping it with both hands and holding it to his body, because I have a feeling if you don't, it just swings around all over the place. Because it's a cylindrical. Why would you want a cylinder?
Like a long, narrow duffel bag kind of thing.
But it's hard.
I don't know. So I always relate some of those suspend disbelief things to chopsticks, where you have several billion people throughout the world, where of all the utensils developed throughout history, that's what won. It's a weird personal preference thing. So I just assume that for whatever reason, some famous person started using it and the rest of the universe just caught on.
But okay, from a production standpoint, though, it just looks spacey, I guess. It looked futuristic.
And there's probably some of that as well.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So make it out of tin foil.
Right. So I noticed that Cisco and, this is like, there's a bit later, but of course we haven't even gotten into the B story, which is still involving Dax, which is involving the proto universe or whatever. But Cisco and Dax, this is like, see, I'm looking at the more production oriented things. They're playing chess, but they're playing 2D chess. They're playing our kind of chess.
Original OG chess.
Yeah. They're nice. They're playing the OG chess rather than the 3D chess. So it's just interesting that they made that decision, because damn well they were like, okay, we got a chess match here, and the props guy was going, hey Spock, what do you want on your hot dog? No, he's going, do we want the 3D or do we want the regular one? And they were like, do you have a 3D? Like, well, we had one, but it broke. Okay, fine. Just go get that one, or Stratego, or whatever you got in the prop.
Yes. Yeah. I noticed it, but I didn't I didn't get it any deeper than that. Just assumed, growing up in New Orleans or whatever, that was just what was played there.
Right. Okay. Well, I just thought that'd be something. But the other thing too, the scene, and by the way, if we're having some sound problems here, folks, our connection's a little off. But it's because Brian, you hear? Am I warping with you? By the way, because you're warping with me
every once in a while.
Yeah, we're back to poor
I
connection.
seem to have a fairly decent connection. So
okay. All right, I'll continue, and if it's bad, we'll have to just edit around it. Okay. The other thing too is the scene with Quark's story about how he slept with the district subnagus' daughter, hence rule of acquisition 112.
Or sister.
Oh, sister, excuse me, not daughter.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. The district subnagus' sister hatches rule of acquisition 112, never have sex with the boss's sister, because that's where Quark ends up tending bar in Wormhole Junction, which I thought was a great line.
Yes, I was going to scan the internet to see if there's a DS9 version of Petticoat Junction with like three of the characters poking up from a water tower or something.
Nice. We'll see if you can find that. Yeah. So anyway, I thought those were nice bits, and I thought Quark, between that and what Quark's little interaction with O'Brien over the Voles, Quark had the nicest, frankly, the most entertaining bits of the whole show. So anyway, those are some notes I had that related to this first section, and so
right.
The other section is
section 2 is this whole concept of a proto universe, and so just like last week, where we're talking about is a hologram a sentient being, now we're talking about is something that's super small or we don't fully understand. Is it life? Is it a universe? And their time is passing at different rates. There's lots of kind of sciencey stuff and tech speak related to how this functions. But in a lot of ways, I think they really glossed over that and just focused on do we kill it or keep it, and then what do we do with it?
I could have solved the whole problem for him. I could have solved the whole thing. Well, you got an infection. You take an antibiotic. Yeah. Well, sorry, I know I'm killing off some little creatures, but
true. I drink scotch and it kills, I'm sure, thousands in my biome in my stomach. I would,
not to mention brain cells. So, I just thought it was one of those kind of trying too hard themes, which was handled much better on Star Trek: The Next Generation when they had the nanites. I think that was better.
Right. The silica-based.
Yeah, the creatures. I don't know. I just didn't find this all that compelling. I frankly thought, why do we even need this? It could have been just as interesting. Is it to give Arjun something to show his mettle? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, they had some new people over on the tech side showing the ship going through the wormhole. Maybe, but for me, it left a lot of questions because if this is expanding, if it's an expanding universe, proto-universe, and it's basically doubling in size every 7 hours, if you put it in the gamma quadrant, it would still swallow up the entire galaxy in a matter of less than a year if it's doubling every several hours.
The science is bad. It's kind of like, do you remember the original series, The Immunity Syndrome, when there's this giant space, it's like a cell. I don't know if you remember this. You probably don't. It's literally a cell. It's like a single-celled organism, but it's getting ready to subdivide. And the Enterprise, it takes out the Intrepid, and then the Enterprise goes in there, and Spock goes out in a shuttlecraft, and they try to figure it out, and they use... Anyway, but this has been done before. And better. So TOS and TNG.
We're the giant, and they're the minuscule thing.
Yeah.
We were the minuscule thing, and they were the giant.
I don't think we needed this. I think they could have just as easily, since using his piloting skills. The only good thing I'll say is that I thought the wormhole special effects were excellent on this one. It was beautiful. I thought very very good.
I thought well done.
But you know what we could have done? That could have been anything where Jadzia and him were out just doing something else mundane out in space, and then something, maybe affecting a rescue of a ship, and it needed a special flying maneuver to show this guy has some skills and he's got confidence and all that.
A warp nacelle goes out and he has to do it all manually through whatever.
I mean, doing the black hole manually, man.
But I think they were also trying to continue to push that same story that they had pushed the previous episode, which is we define life a certain way, and that construct is inherently flawed because it's centered in ourselves, and we need to expand our vision.
Sure. Okay.
I get that. I buy that. It's just that the execution I thought was fairly poor.
It's pretty poor. Yeah. So I see that. And one other thing, and this has been something that has bothered me from the get-go, from 1966. You ready? The shuttlecraft controls. There's no joystick. They're the most dumb, boring. How can you be a good pilot?
Apparently, what Arjun could see on his monitor could not be transferred over to Jadzia's monitor. She had to get up and walk over and take a look. Let me see that. What?
I don't know. But it's just like, how are you? I mean, to me, you're more proficient if you're okay. It's one thing to be able to be instrument ready,
right?
And all that, but if you have a joystick, it kind of indicates, okay, I have reflexes too. Now I know the touch screen and all that, but I'm sorry. They did that in Star Trek Insurrection, the movie. They wanted to show some action with Riker taking over when he's fighting Ruafo and all his people. So they popped up this tacky 1992 joystick, and he's
Atari.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the little red fire button on there. So that's kind of dumb. But I think people would appreciate if the shuttlecraft had a joystick. It would be cool.
Or even if it had a very distinguishing palm pad.
Distinctive. Yeah.
Distinctive. Yes. Palm pad where they could put their finger and shift forward, back, almost like like the touch mouse pad things that we have on many of our laptop computers.
I agree. Something that would show that it's reflexes and eye coordination as well as understanding, because those controls just look okay. Because it's like with Odo. When there's times when Odo flies, and I think there's one coming up a few seasons where he's flying with Wei Yun of all people, and he's like, "I'm not a combat pilot," so he can do the autopilot and do the 1, 2, 3, but a combat pilot, right, has to have some special skills, but that's not apparent just by boop, 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 touching the little film strips that they glued to the console. Anyway, I just had to say that. So the other part of this, there's a couple other little bits and pieces. The kind of the laugh riot being the Voles, right?
Okay, so here's what I think the Voles are. It's a miniature version of the Folker from Neverending Story.
Oh yeah.
If it bred with a fed gremlin.
Oh, I like that. Somebody fed a gremlin after midnight.
Fed the Volker, a mini Volker after midnight. There you go. Or Folker.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, so those were kind of interesting, cute.
I mean, I think there were some cute moments with that, like when Quark, they use the sonic thing in Quark's ears, and Quark, can't hear. And
right.
Misery.
Yeah.
When you get the treat of looking at Major Kira's behind, and then you get the treat of Dax, which is like, look, if they're going to put it in our face that way, I'm going to remark upon it. They were lovely derrieres to look at, but it was going for kind of fun, and I like how Cisco goes from like put the phasers on stun, and then later he's pissed off. He's like,
kill the effers.
Gloves are off, man. No more Mr. Nice Guy. That was cute.
Yeah,
that was cute. I don't know. But the Voles, I thought, that's good. And there's a nice little interplay with Cardassian, who will later be Gully Vac, talking to Miles about it, basically saying, hey, not my effing problem, unless you want to give the station back.
Give us the station back. We'll be glad to take care of it.
And
I thought that was funny.
And then he's like, hangs up on him right there, which is funny. so that was all right.
And then there was one little interaction between Benjamin and Jake, where Jake, of course, Miles didn't rat him out, but he thought he did there for a little bit. But that he's got a girlfriend, the girl he's tutoring. He's in love with Marta, and she loves him as well.
She's a double girl.
Yeah, and so that kind of freaks Benjamin out. But he's of course wants to meet her, but not now. He had some big decisions to make about destroying a universe.
Right. Yeah. So. But I like that, and you can look at this episode one of two ways. You can look at it as like, my God, they're throwing all this spaghetti at the wall and see what will stick, or they're saying we're going to give you little slices of life here and there. We're going to fit it in, which I don't mind that. I just wish it was smoother.
Right.
As I've already said, I think Arjun is problematic and a little boring. I think that they could have it could have been a smoother episode had they just gotten rid of the proto-universe story altogether. You had the Voles could be the B story, and Arjun and Dax could be the A story, and
get rid of the proto-universe, and maybe they have to take the Voles over to the Gamma Quadrant. I don't know.
Or they could they could beam the whole kit and cadoodle into the hold of a Cardassian vessel where there'd be no Tribble at all. If you'll pardon me for mixing my metaphors, but like they did with Trouble with Tribbles, they just beamed all the Tribbles over into the Klingon ships. Which some say is why the Klingons grew things on their foreheads. But anyway, that's an old. You'd have to be a fan back in the day when I was a kid to think that. That was a speculation, by the way. When Star Trek: The Motion Picture came out and photos showed the new Klingons with the new foreheads, everybody's like, "Why did that happen?" I think, and Jimmy Doohan, who played Scotty, he had said. He'd made a joke, I think, where that's all those Tribbles I beamed over that one time. They caused a problem. And then he said, no, actually, it's just us kicking them up the backside. It knocked their spinal columns down over their foreheads or something like that. Funny stuff like that. But, but I remember as a kid thinking, I bet it was the Tribbles. I bet that's why. And they'll explain it. Of course, they never explain it until, actually, they explain it in DS9 in a few years from now. So we'll look into it then. So anyway, I think it was kind of an ambitious episode. I happen to think it fell short.
Yeah. So let's confront the Latinum.
I'm not going to evade any further.
Don't evade the Latinum anymore.
Oh boy!
So before we retreat, let's see how much Latinum they've acquired.
Man. Okay. See, I don't.
You want me to go first?
I don't hate it. Okay. But I'm gonna. All right. But I'm not. I'm gonna stand firm on what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna let you change me. So you go ahead. So
I'm in that 2.5 bars range. I wouldn't call so I started in my head dividing a bar of latinum as a quintile with 20% per. I wouldn't say it's in the top half, but it's certainly not.
Not Allan Moraine here.
It's not Allan Moraine. It's So that's it. Just under Midland episode.
I know.
And there are things I like about it. I did like some of the Dax character development. Learning some stuff about her. It's just it was so frenetic and all over the place. And the proto universe thing, I think we're in full agreement that was just a kind of a supposed to be a grenade, and it was just a fizzle bomb lobbed in the middle of the episode.
Yeah, I agree. Well, it's funny. We both here we go, and this is what I was going to do. I should write it down beforehand and then open the envelope. I'm giving it 2.5 myself. I can't. I'm giving him a half for the effort, and the other 2 is just for being solid on the other things we normally think are important. It's not bad. It's just coming after Shadow Play. And even Paradise, which, by the way, we did a Twitter poll on Paradise, and most of our followers did not agree with us. They think,
right.
Or it was like the people who agreed with us was like only about 20% agreed with us on the Latinum for that one. But I don't know. We're fairly forgiving. I think some fans, get a little over their skis about things, but that's fine.
Yeah, and for me, I don't have the advantage some of you have of putting it in the context of all seasons, all episodes.
True.
So maybe if I had to force rank all of them, some of these episodes would fall higher and lower. But I stand by my rating.
Wait till you get in like the last couple of seasons. You're going to be like hard pressed to not do 5 stars at this point on episodes. But that's good. Okay, well, so that's where I have it.
What have we got next week?
We're going to get into some profit and loss, and I'm looking forward to covering that one with Brian. Thanks again for listening. You know where to find us on social media. Reviews appreciated, etc., etc., etc.
And until next time, the docking ring is closed.